All right, everybody, welcome to the show. This is Lost and Found with your host, Cain Stevens. I'm Cain Stevens, and we're back at it again. Like I always say, we just got to keep chugging along here. So, with this endeavor, it's gonna be a lot harder than doing a paranormal podcast. Getting people on your. I feel like we're up against it as Christians, and I wouldn't call myself a new Christian by any means. I've been around it, but I would definitely say that I'm far more enlightened and living a better lifestyle and living for God. So I'm not perfect like anybody else, but here I am doing it, and just going through the human process. On this show, we're going to start some new segments here. We're going to try a few things. I want to do a random kind of like a random, maybe God's working in me in some way, flip through the Bible and just whatever kind of stands out as I'm flipping through. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but just see what verse stands out, and we'll see how it goes. We want to get to some Christian news, something positive, something good. So we'll lead off with a little news segment here. Christian news. So here we go. So this story is off of ChristianHeadlines.com, which seems like a pretty good source as I dug into it. I tried to read a few things. This one struck hard with me, being a former football player, an athlete, and a college football fan. Don't hate me for being an Iowa fan, but that's what I am. But they haven't given me much to cheer for lately. So I gotta look elsewhere. So here's something to get behind. So the senior quarterback who led Tennessee to the top 5 while vaulting into the Heisman Trophy contention this week. His pregame prayers, I guess, are making waves, and I guess he's using focus on family, health, and gratitude. Hendon Hooker is his name, from the University of Tennessee. He's guided to the Volunteers to an 8-0 start, including a 52-49 win over Alabama that broke a 15-game losing streak to the Crimson Tide. He's considered a favorite for the old trophy, the Heisman Trophy, and which is college football's most prestigious individual award. So let's see. A recent video went viral on social media showing Hooker on one knee, bowed in prayer moments before kickoff. And Hooker said the prayer focuses on his family's travels, the safety of his brother, who is a freshman quarterback at North Carolina A&T. Let's see what else he said. He said it's the same prayer every time. I'm a routine type of guy. Just praying over my family, thanking God for safe travel. I pray for my brother as he has his game, praying for his game and their safety. And then just praying God touches my mind, hands, my feet, and just go out there and do what he's blessed me to do, put on a show. So I think this is really cool. A lot of times, like, we kind of glaze over or pass by the when we see him praying in the end zone, or giving God some props for celebration. I just think that I think that it's good to have some positive role models out there. People who aren't kind of living the opposite lifestyle and teaching our kids wrong. So I'm rooting for this guy. I guess he was a transfer from Virginia Tech, and he's always been outspoken about his Christian faith. Um, let's see. In September, he told media members that he listens to gospel music before each game from such artists like Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, Kiki Sheard. I'm probably pronouncing that bad, but it sounds like he's a him and his backup quarterback, who's also devoted to Christ, are are leaders on the team. So if you ask me, just like in the sermon that I just listened to not too long ago about how men have always been men need to step up, especially in this day and age. It seems like we're becoming less heads of the family, less heads, and we're not being the figures that we're supposed to be. I mean, we need to step up as men, be leaders. There's nothing wrong with women leaders. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying us as men. Some of us as I'm not really a young man anymore, but I'm younger. I mean, I'm 40. Well, we all need to do our part and step up, especially in the society that we live in now, where it seems like they're kind of demasculinizing men. When I think men should step up. Sometimes I think to myself about my grandfather or my grandfathers who fought, in world wars, and the life they live, our dads who were in Vietnam. And I just think to myself how disgusted they have to be with our society that we become, wimps. We become, we really do need to focus on getting back to being the leaders of our families, the leaders of our communities. So some of you men out there, this is not a chauvinist thing by any means. I don't mean anything by it other than I just think, man, we need to step up. We need to, if you have a child, be the father of that child. You love that child. If you, just be a man to you that your family can follow. So, I mean, there's my rant on that, but I think that it's awesome to have a figure like this. Here's a football player. Tennessee hasn't been good for quite some time, and he's bringing him to prominence, and God is using him to spread his message a little bit at a time, and this is his way. So, maybe you like Tennessee, maybe you don't, but I'm definitely going to be rooting for this guy, Hendon Hooker, to continue on. So there's a little bit of Christian news today, a little Bible news. Now I want to move on to a few points. The other day I was sitting in the car and I didn't have much to, I don't know, whatever. I had finished whatever I was listening to, and I just didn't really feel like getting into my usual playlist shuffle. So I was just fumbling through the radio, trying to find something to listen to. And I mean, on the very bottom of the dial, I hit this, it wasn't even the AM, it was an FM dial. And I just happened to come on to like an old sermon. The guy was giving a sermon. And this is something that before now I would definitely just pass by. Oop. onto something else. I'm not listening to this guy. I'm not listening to that. But I don't know. I just found it kind of captivating. I think it was like I want to say like an old Billy Graham sermon. And then there was like a Hispanic interpreter also on stage with them. I don't know what year, but man, it was it was so awesome to listen to. Here he's getting loud. He's praising the Lord. He's talking about filling your cup, and it was just, man, he just kept repeating the words over and over again. Fill her up, and then the the Hispanic interpreter would do the same. I couldn't help but listen and I had a big smile on my face. I just thought, I don't know, I just thought, well, look at how far I've come as a human, and as someone in Christ, where before I wouldn't have given that the time of day, but it hit me, and I listened on, and I could see why these televangelists and I can see why they were so successful, because it was really captivating. It was almost like James Brown up there. Up there, can you imagine? Like praising the Lord and just going off. I mean, he was just it seemed like it was just so captivating, you couldn't help but continue to listen. So that was pretty cool. That was a nice moment for me. I have been the family had a funeral. My wife's grandmother died. And so we had to go to Western Nebraska. And it's just every time this type of thing happens. I mean, I've never been one to hold back my feelings. I don't have any problem crying if I feel spirit to cry. There's some funerals where I've been to where I wasn't able to cry for whatever reason, but this one in particular, I just seeing the sorrow on my wife's family's faces, and knowing their grandma as well, me personally, it just just got me thinking a lot. The funerals and death can do that, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be so sad. You can think about it in many ways. You could think about it in the cliche way or the good way. Sometimes we always say, well, they're at a better place now. They're not going to feel any more pain, and I think that is an amazing way to look at it. I think that God has called them home. It was their time. Grandma lived into her 90s. Grandma had a wonderful life. I had 11 grandchildren, great grandchildren. I mean, she had it all. I mean, I'm not sure, maybe even a great great grandchild. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. I can't imagine that what life would be like to live to your 90s or above. That would be that would be something. I'm not sure if it's really in the cards for me with all my heart issues and stuff, but I just know that I need to have myself ready when the time comes, and I hope that if there's somebody listening out there that's maybe kind of on the fence about it, I can say that a guy like me, a guy who's made so many mistakes and I've done so many things that I regret, even a guy like me can get accepted into Heaven's Gate and can be with the Lord for eternity. And I hope that you do the same. I hope that you can accept Jesus Christ, as your Savior, and accept the fact that Christ died and rose from the dead for us. So I hope that you can get there. I hope I can use this platform to help you out as much as I can. I'm nobody, I'm just a simple guy. Love my family, love my dogs. I mean, I'm going through it just like you are. I'm an open book. If you'd like to, if you want to hear my story, I can tell you about the deep down sorrow that I've felt throughout my life and the things that I've done. But God has forgiven me, and that gives me a positive state of mind. It gives me a different state of mind, knowing that what I've done can be forgiven, and when I die, something is going to happen. If you're a doubter out there and you wonder, it's not. Well, I wonder what happens. Nothing's going to happen. What if I die and there's nothing? Well, I mean, so one person, I think it might have been my sister or somebody, said to me, like when people judge about her being a Christian and whatnot, she put it so simply, but so and so blunt, but so perfect. She said, "What's the matter? I mean, like, I mean, if that's what I believe, and if there was nothing, I mean, what's it hurt to have hope? If anything, what does it hurt to have a little bit of hope in your life?" And I mean that's obviously we believe much more than that, but at the end of the day, hope and love is what matters. So I invite you, if you're listening, to take a look at your life, just like I have mine. And if you're down and you're depressed and you're upset, I'm not saying that this is going to erase any of that or all of it, but it certainly could help your positive state of mind. It could help you to just try to be a better person. Maybe instead of road raging on people, maybe as they go by, you shoot them a smile or or a thumbs up. Instead of the middle finger. Like just just give it a shot. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Just give it a shot. So, moving on to something else. So something amazing happened today. I mean, something truly unbelievable happened today, and it was so wild. So I woke up this morning, did the whole routine, got the kids ready, and just before I take the last kid to school, wouldn't you know, the internet goes down. I'm like, oh no. And of course, we have issues here with the provider that we use, and it's not uncommon. We have good internet, but it does fall out from time to time. So I thought nothing of it. Just figured we usually leave the TV on for the dogs so that they can enjoy background noise instead of barking at everything they hear. So we pretty much have a TV running most of the time. So I don't know if that's good or not, but we do. So the internet's down. I go to physical therapy. I get home and well, for one, at physical therapy, their internet's down, and I'm like, man, like this is like this is like the dark ages or something. I'm like, I can't listen to the TV while I'm sitting here doing. We have to sit here and we have to actually talk to each other. And then if a stranger walks by, instead of zoning out at the different TV screens, maybe you'll wave and say hello, and pretty soon they're talking back to you. It was wild, and so then I leave physical therapy, it's over with. Oh, thank goodness it's over. Gotta rush home and get back and see if the internet's on, so I can pop the TV on. And so I get home, and of course the dogs are going nuts because every noise that happens, they've got to go crazy. I've got Teddy the cockapoo here, my co-host. He's doing a little resting right now. He's not side eyeing me like usual. His ears aren't perked up. He's just kind of nuzzled into his bed here. But they greeted me as I came in, and wouldn't you know, the internet was down still. And I mean, this has been a couple hours since I left. So I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, I mean, my life hardly has meaning. Like I can't play any music off of Amazon. I can't, yell at my devices to play this song or that. So I can't do anything. So this amazing transformation begins to happen. Like I don't know. It was really strange. Like it's like the reverse of like the Hulk. Like instead of like getting so angry, and muscles are popping out everywhere, and I'm growing and I'm turning green. Instead, it's like the opposite happened. It was like my muscles started to like dissipate, like poof, like a powder, and I started getting skinnier and skinnier. pretty soon my vision would change. My hair grew out and into like rollers, and I had like rollers on them, and it's kind of like permed out, and it was this strange transformation. And pretty soon I got this wild idea as I was looking over at the tomatoes on the counter, and I decided to myself, well, I got tomatoes, I've got onions, I've got peppers. What do I do with that? I can't ask the internet what to do. And wouldn't you know, I transformed into my grandmother. Like my my favorite person of all time. She was she stole my heart just like my mom and my sister years ago. And I just had so much love for her. But I became her all of a sudden. Yeah, this transformation's happening, and pretty soon I've just got this urge to can something, and so I grab the jars, I start cutting up some onions, get all my peppers together, I boil the tomatoes so I can pull the skins off, and I just go through this whole process. And it took me back to a time, like I started to imagine like this is what it was like, man, like when we were kids, when I would go to Missouri, down, it's very southern Missouri in the Ozarks, in Golden, and we'd be staring out at the lake through the back door, and I'd be canning with my grandma, and it's amazing what happens. All of this transformation. I become my grandma again. I'm canning. I'm enjoying all the fragrant smells of it. I mean, it just gave me so much joy. Pretty soon I'm like, I want to read something. Grab a book. I start to clean and do things, and it's wild. And then it got me thinking like that's how dependent we are on the internet and media and everything, just having something, games, video games and everything, having something in front of us that we can't just enjoy life in the little things that we did when we were younger, or just trying new things. I mean, in the process I made a killer salsa, by the way. I mean, man, I think I got this recipe down to a science now, so I'm pretty excited about it. I didn't make it too hot. I used onions. I like to mix in some pepperoncinis cut up, uh, and then add that with some jalapenos, and then throw that in the old food processor. Get those tomatoes rolling and ready to go. Put it all in there again in the pot, and just start throwing my ingredients in. Just start boiling her up, man, getting her simmering. And yeah, I got me in the last couple of days. A few really big jars full of it. A couple small ones. I'm getting ready to pickle some onions. I watch a lot of. I basically am an old lady. I'm basically my kid's mom now that I'm disabled due to my heart. I cook, I clean, I do all the stuff that I can. I take care of them, and I've accepted my role, as this is what I have become. But the point of all of this is, and there is a point to this, is the dependence of the internet and TV and everything is so ridiculous. Maybe it's kind of be good to like it'd be good to get back to the basics a little bit. Just, I mean, what would a person do? Like sometimes I think about myself, myself, what would we do if the grid went down? And it is very possible that it could happen. And we're back to the Middle Ages again, at least for however long. Like, think about it when you have like a week's power outage or more, um, what you end up doing. I mean, I'm a reader, I could blast through some books, but maybe in those times we should pick up the Bible, and maybe that's a great time with the silence, decide, shut the world down for a moment anyway. It's already shut, and just pick up that Bible and start reading and apply it. There's some great stories in there. I mean, I'm like a little kid because I never read this stuff seriously when I was younger. So I'm learning all this stuff new. Like I'm still in Daniel, still doing Bible studies with my sister, and I I was right before Halloween, which Halloween is my favorite holiday or non-holiday, but I know that sounds. I love Christmas, and of course, I just like. I know there's Christians out there who, and I saw their posts, and I'm not attacking you by any means. You're more than welcome to your opinion, but I would offer you a counter opinion. I saw one girl say, that it's demonic and satanic to enjoy or to take part in Halloween, and I just thought, man, like it's not for me. It's not. I mean, we had a great time. We had a blast. We watched Arachnophobia out in the, with we had our giant spider web set up and all this stuff out there and all sorts of cool things. And we sat out there in front of the fire, ate popcorn, drank some sugary sodas we probably shouldn't have, except for times like those. And we just enjoyed it. We passed out some candy, and we just enjoyed each other's company, and we made a memory. And this was one of our favorite Halloweens we've had, and we've had some pretty memorable Halloweens. So, I understand your judgment, but just try to look at the big picture. Try to look at, it's not that for it is what you make it. Everything is what you make it. It's like a Satanist reading the Bible in spite of, just in spite of it. It is what you make it. Halloween doesn't have to be the devil's night and all. It can just be something that you love and it's fun. You can celebrate Santa Claus and still celebrate Jesus, knowing that Santa, newsflash everybody, knowing that maybe Santa's not real, like I don't want to spoil it for all you kids out there. Maybe he is. I don't want to ruin it for you if that's what you believe, but I can tell you that the true Santa Claus and the one who's passing out the gifts that really matters is Jesus Christ, the one who was born and lived his life as one of us and died for us, enduring the most horrific pain and death, just to rise again so that we can be reborn through him. So just it is what you make it. So, getting back to, Daniel, along with the spooky stuff, there was a sermon that went along with this, that I was watching from Calvary Community. Shout out to Pastor Steve on another great sermon. It kind of held to the spooky theme of things. I mean, it was Belshazzar, if was, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, was what, the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar, and he was basically mocking God in Daniel, and they've got a siege at their gates, but they know that their gates are basically almost nearly impenetrable and everything, and their walls are ridiculously thick. And so what does he do? He throws a party, and a massive party, and not only that, but throws a blasphemous party full of debauchery and awful things, and it's basically challenging God. In this process, God decides, well, I've kind of had it with this. I think I've taken a little bit enough of what you got to offer, and so as I get into it, like a hand appears. So here's your spooky part. Like maybe like a spirit hand or an angel's hand, or a hand appears and it writes on the wall, hence the term writing, the writing on the wall. And the king is shook by it. I mean, he goes through it and he's absolutely shook to his core. His knees are knocking, he is whimpering like a child. And he's horrified, and he wants to know who can interpret this. So he called, he does the old the old mistakes. Oh, I guess let's call all the conjurers and all the, uh, the magicians and all these people to interpret the dream. And of course, he calls these jokers in, and they don't have a clue. Oh, we got nothing for you, man. I'm sorry. Please don't kill us for not knowing. And Daniel's mom, or not. I'm sorry, not Daniel's mom. The king's mother, the queen, says there is a man that can interpret the dream, not the dream. There is a man that can interpret the writing on the wall, and she refers to, what Daniel did for Nebuchadnezzar, and so that's kind of where we led, and that's where we stopped. But it was interesting to me, being around how I'd never heard that story, so I found it very cool and very interesting because I'm into the paranormal. And all of a sudden, poof, here's this hand, and it's writing this writing on the wall, and the man, it scared the crap out of the king to the point where he was basically a whimpering child, terrified. So that was a really cool story, and man, there's just so many more awesome stories in this old book we call the Bible. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of my commentary on some of this stuff. There's plenty more. There's plenty more shows to come, but this is only my second episode. The first one was just an introductory. This is the second one. So, with that being said, we're getting close to where our time is running out. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of random Bible readings. We're gonna hold the Bible right here. I got my Bible in my hand. It's the NASB version. This one has my name on it, so that's cool. Then I know it's mine. But we're gonna hope that something cool comes out of this. So I'm gonna try to do a random reading and a random verse of something. I'm just gonna flip back and forth. I'm not gonna look at it. I mean, obviously, I know the general vicinity of where certain books are, but I'm not aiming for anything. So I stopped on something right here. Now, see, this is interesting. All right, so chapter 3 of Amos, or Amos, not John Stamos, as you as you can no, John Stamos wasn't here, but be cool if he was, right? But here, okay, so we're in chapter 3. I just flipped through randomly, and this kind of stood out to me, so I think this might be God talking to me here a little bit. So chapter 3, hear his words which the Lord has spoken against you, sons of Israel, against the entire family which he brought up from the land of Egypt. You only have one chosen among all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Do two men walk together unless they have made an appointment? Does a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Does a young lion growl from his den unless he has captured something? Does a bird fall into a trap on the ground when there is no bait in it? Does a trap spring up from the earth when it captures nothing at all? If a trumpet is blown in a city, will not the people tremble? If a calamity occurs in a city, has not the Lord done it? Surely the Lord God does nothing unless he reveals his secret counsel to his servants and prophets. A lion has roared, who will not fear? The Lord God has spoken, who can but prophesy? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that speaks to you. I mean, maybe it's just I mean, I don't know the context because I'm not looking at the rest of it. But that's just a random reading. That's kind of interesting to me. Maybe it doesn't apply at all. But I think that if you look at that's not necessarily true though, because every word applies in some way. I mean, just the simple beginning, hear this word, which the Lord has spoken against you, is enough. I mean, just that alone, if you want to take something out of that, aside from the poetry and the beauty of what it's saying, just take those simple words out of it. Hear his word, which the Lord has spoken against you. I mean, hear the Lord. If the Lord is pressing on your heart or saying something, the Lord's knocking, answer the door, let him in. So that's what I have for now. That was just my my random Bible read there. I invite you to check it out and give yourself some context to what was read there. So I want to thank you guys for listening to a Lost and Found, uh, the show where both the lost and the found are welcome at all times, and also just a calling to those who are lost that you can be found and you can change your life. God never gives up on you. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys continue to tune in, and this show will just get better and better. So I hope I helped you in some way. I hope you guys have a great week, and love you all. God bless you, and we'll talk to you later. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Galatians 5:16.